welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, recruiting in your pants. First video of 2023, y'all. We have been doing this now for 3 full years. Never missed a week. I think at least once I had 2 videos in the same week. Wow. You'd think I'd run out of stuff to talk about. Here we are. I definitely expect, we're gonna revisit some old topics, maybe a fresh perspective on some things we've already discussed. But this week, we're gonna talk about researching your interviewers. This is a topic like lots of things in recruiting. The intention is good. The execution, I think, falls apart a little bit in how we're researching and how we're intending to use what we find out about folks. So not uncommon for, coaches and influencers and whatnot to tell you, go learn all about, read the company financial statements and all the blogs and find out if the CEO likes pudding. And is that helpful? Does that matter? I'm not so sure. I mean, your mileage may vary, of course. Take the guidance from your recruiters, from the people who work at the companies you want to work for. That will always be my one piece of advice. Talk to the people who can actually get you where you're trying to go. They know best. But generally speaking, when we talk about researching your interviewers and knowing about your interviewers and doing some of that pre-work before an interview, I don't want you to get caught up in the personal. That's where I think it goes sideways, okay? You don't need to find those, oh, we both went to the same school and oh, we both, run marathons. And that's not a hiring decision. That is, I'm saying all of this because yes, it will feel good in the moment and you might get the interviewer to like you because you're both Huskies or something. But that's not valid data for a hiring decision. And I've sat in on those post-interview conversations where people have been like, man, I really like this person, but we don't have the right data to say yes to a hire. So instead of focusing on the fluffy, non-relevant stuff, here's how I want you to prepare for those interviews instead. If you can get the names and the details, and some companies won't give this to you because they don't want this kind of bias to be an issue. But if you can get it or you can figure out who you're going to meet with, what I want you to dig into is professional background. Understand, in fact, let me put it to you this way. Let me actually change this up a little bit midstream. This is always fun. Here's how I prep my candidates. When I'm walking through the interview day with them, I'll be like, you're going to meet Bob. You're going to be with Bob from 9 to 10. Bob has been with the organization for 3 years. His title is X. This is what he does. This is how you might interact with Bob if you were to join our company. That is the level of detail that I give my candidates and have for years, because that's what's relevant. Hey, you're interviewing to be a mechanical design engineer. You know what? You're going to meet with Sally. Sally's also a mechanical design engineer. She reports into the same manager. If you come to work here, you and Sally will be colleagues. She's a great person to ask about day in the life. She's a great person that can speak to, maybe some of the nuances of this team and of this work. Conversely, Jill over there, Jill is actually helping us out from a completely unrelated department. Still valuable input. She's still going to ask great questions and she's still a great person to maybe talk to about the overall organization. But Jill's not somebody that you're going to work with every day. So I don't want you to worry too much about getting into the weeds of what Jill does because she's over on, supply chain and doesn't have anything to do with mechanical design engineer like the other people that you're meeting or whatever. So it just depends, right? Because everybody's going to kind of have their, if we've set it up correctly, their specific areas they're digging into, their questions that they're asking. And so what I want you to know as the job seeker, as the candidate who's preparing for these conversations, is, as much as you can, maybe understand what that person might cover. So if there are specific technical competencies the recruiter can share with you, if there's any, company or culture nuances that any of these folks might be digging into, like that's what you really want to know. And then beyond that, as far as like thinking about the questions that you could be asking or the data that you can get from the interviewers to help you make your decision, because it's a two-way street. You're interviewing us as much as we're interviewing you, right? That's how this works. That's how it's supposed to work. I want you to understand things like tenure, things like, how close this person is to the role and team that you might be joining. Things like, maybe professional background, right? And it's not about, oh, we both went to the same college, or, oh, we both have been in the industry at the same amount of time. It's understanding where this person fits into the problem that you might be coming to solve if you were to join the team. Okay, so that's where I want you to focus. It's less about this person individually and personally and whether or not they eat potatoes, and more about, hey, this person is somebody that I will actually partner with. I'm going to spend 10 hours a day with this person. I better decide if that's somebody I feel like I can get along with, right? That's a hiring decision for you on the candidate side. Like you can definitely use all the bias you like when you're deciding if you want to accept an offer. So how do you get these insights? So your recruiter, as always, should be your best source of information. Okay. Now, if you've been referred, if you know people in the organization, if you have maybe that, kind of backdoor, like, hey, I'm going to talk to, so-and-so and so-and-so. What do you know about him? You might want to ask those questions. I mean, that's up to you. I'm not telling you you should or shouldn't. I may have done that when I was interviewing at places I was referred to. But again, I want to make sure that we're looking at this through the right lens. I think a lot of people with the best of intentions, don't get me wrong, I'm sure that they mean well, but a lot of people over-index on personal connection. And personal connection is certainly a part of it, right? I think especially as we're, really now considering an offer and the ball's now in your court as the job seeker, you probably want to have that follow-up or maybe lunch with the team or maybe, whatever that looks like for you. But when we're making a hiring decision, we want to reduce or completely eliminate as much bias as possible. Easier said than done. I understand that. I get it. But this is why having a clearly defined data-driven interview process is so important. We want to remove that, extra layer of like affinity bias or like me bias or, bonding bias because you both ride horses. That should not be part of the hiring decision. So recap. If you are someone who really wants to research your interviewers and know who you're going to be talking to, talk to your recruiter, focus on where this person sits in the organization, the professional connection they may have to the role that you could be taking, or at least the role you're interviewing for, and understand as best you can, what are the topics that are going to be covered? Is this person going to do a deep dive tech? Am I going to be whiteboarding in front of them? Are they maybe from a partner team and they want to know, like, would they be my customer? So they're coming from that perspective. Would they be my boss? Would they be my subordinate? Like, those are the things that matter and potentially play into the hiring decision. All right. So I hope that helps y'all. We'll maybe if y'all want more on this topic, maybe I can add an FAQ or something around this if that's helpful for you. So let me know. Y'all get to decide this. I read all the comments, as you know. So let me know down below what you think. Send me an email, amy@recruitinginyourpants.com with feedback if you'd like. And hopefully this gave you a little piece. Don't overthink it. Don't feel like you got to learn everything you can about somebody. Just go in, have your stories prepared, and rock that interview. All right, we'll see you next week.